Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Central and South Planning Committee. I'm Ian Edwards, Councillor, and I'm Chairman of the meeting. You're most welcome, and anybody who may be following us online. This is CCTV, the little dome above us is recording it all. It's just forward of you see a little dome up there. See, people in the public area are not actually on screen until they come forward to the desk. But it's all captured on YouTube, so if at some later stage you wish to see the proceeds of this committee or any other committee, planning committee, they are available on YouTube, and you can look back and see what's happened at your own leisure. Anyway, a very warm welcome to you. The ordinary preliminary announcements. Fire alarm. No fire alarm is expected this evening, so if one goes off, we will be evacuating. Don't worry about it because we will all be going at the same time. However, the best way is the way you came in, and the fire exit is off to your right-hand side and then back round or straight down the stairs. So we've got two ways once we get out there. If for any reason that's blocked, there's a fire exit behind this lot. But don't worry, we will be with you. Mobile devices, importantly, if we could have all mobile devices please turn to silent or off, that is most helpful. Residents' feedback forms, ladies and gentlemen, forms were provided or are available if they're not on the chair on the table over there. If you wish to provide us comments how we might improve our meetings, your comments are most welcome. We do learn from them. Those comments go to the Democratic Services and not to myself, and we do learn from that feedback. And anybody who may be following us online or wishes at a later stage, you can also provide your feedback online through a form there. Okay, we'll get into a little bit of a routine process here when we march through the agenda, and that will go quite quickly. But before then, you might be wondering who are all the people sat around the table and what are their roles. The Planning Committee is made up of councillors, and they are the voting members, and as chairman I will only vote in the event of there being, the unusual event, there being a tie. Now, the councillors on the Planning Committee I'll introduce to you are on my far left-hand side, Councillors Morse, Kashid and Money, and on my far right-hand side, Stead, Chapman, Chandal, Ahmed Bolana and Yarrow. Okay, now they're, as I say, the councillors who vote. Other colleagues around the table are officers of the council and perform different roles and provide us advice. Nicole Cameron on my far left-hand side is a legal clerk, gives me legal advice. Anisha Teji is Democratic Services, minutes the meetings, keeps the record for us. James Rogers is Head of Planning and will give planning advice as and when it's required. Edward Oteng is a Strategic and Major Applications Manager. Nice title. But he's actually introducing each of the applications and will give a presentation on each one. Peter Loveday is our Highways Development Engineer and will give us expert advice on highways matters. So that's the team around us. As we get into the petition bit, I will describe how we manage it, but let's get this little bit of process out of the way first. The first 5 items of the agenda should take something like a minute and a half, okay? And the rest will take a little bit longer. So, agenda item 1, apologies for absence, please.
No apologies received.
Thank you. Declarations of interest matters coming before the committee this evening. Councillor Chamdal, Councillor Ahmed Bolana.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Item number 13, Prince of Wales. 1, it's in my ward, and 2, I have eaten once in that premises, but before all this was happening, so I will be staying in the room.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Bolana.
Thank you, Chairman. I would like to declare non-pecuniary interest in agenda item number 13 and 22. I'll be leaving the room.
Thank you very much. Councillor Morse.
I declare an interest in agenda item 17. It's not in Botwell, it's in Pinkwell, and I'm the ward councillor. But I will be remaining in the meeting.
Thank you very much. Good. Otherwise, we'd empty you out if we left if they were in our own ward. Local representation is valued. Councillor Kashid.
It's in my ward.
The matters of representation of each of the ward councillors and the wards they stand is a matter of record, and that is available, and is a matter of record of where the applications are from. So there is no requirement for each councillor to declare which ward they're in, otherwise we would be speaking on every matter, because this is Central and South Committee made up by councillors from the central and south area. Okay, so that's the declaration of interest. Minutes to be received and agreed on the 19th of July. Are they agreed, colleagues? Thank you very much. And the 8th of August. Are they agreed? Thank you very much. Item 4. There has been one item I've accepted as an urgent issue, and that is an enforcement issue. It's in part 2, which I'll explain in a second, but just as a matter of record. Okay, and item 5, we're talking about part 1 and part 2 of the meeting. Part 1 is the public discussion. So we're meeting in a public forum. It's not a public meeting, but we're meeting, and the discussions are open to, as I say, members of the public coming and listening to it. Part 2 are the enforcement matters, and that's where we're discussing matters that could result in court proceedings, and the discussion around that is taken in private. However, the topic, and if you're interested, the outcome of the discussions are published, and they're available on the website if you need to. Okay, so there will be a break when we move from the public consideration of the planning applications. We move into private discussions around the enforcement. And we do have matters in both part 1 and part 2. And as I say, the urgent item I have taken will be in part 2, and so will not impact on members of the public present. So we're now into the actual main part of the business. So we're moving on to agenda item 6. Unusually, there was a technical problem with the printing of the report of item 6, and so the actual report itself features on agenda B. Okay, but it is the same matter, it's the same topic, it's just that half the report didn't come out in agenda A, so it's been published in full in agenda B. We're going to keep it in the same order, but the papers you need to now look at are the published agenda B. Petitions. As I say, this is a meeting held in public. Any member of the public is welcome, and as I say, it's captured on YouTube, and believe it or not, people from various different countries do follow and comment. So it is quite widely followed, although not deeply followed, I don't think. I don't think we have great numbers. But there is no public right of speaking. The only people that can speak to the committee are those that are controlled by the constitution of the council, and that says you have to have a petition. If you bring forward a petition, you are able to address the committee for 5 minutes. Okay, and if there is a petition, then the applicant or agent ordinarily has a right of response, as you would expect, and they have 5 minutes. In addition, a ward councillor can speak for 3 minutes. So when we get into the actual petitions, it's 5 minutes. It's controlled by lights. And I have to be quite strict on the timing. 4 minutes with a green light, 1 minute with an amber, and when we go to red, I really need to draw you to a close because I have to be fair, and if we overrun with one, I have to overrun with others, and it all gets a bit messy. So we stick to the timings, okay? So we're now going to get into the applications. First, we're going to hear the presentation about it, and then we'll get into the petition. So, agenda item 6, number 48, Pole Hill Road, please.
Chair, I was waiting for your lead on, because agenda item 6 is actually now part of B. Did you mention it, Chair?
Yes, I did. I did say that we would be going. The paper is published as agenda item B. Yes, okay. I have said that.
Thank you, Chair. Good evening, Chair. Good evening, members. This is an application that is for. If I can take you through the slide, bear with me. This is the site of the application site, etched in red. Another location plan. As you can see, it is some way from the green belt, but comfortably away, not to cause any concern from a planning point of view. Another location plan. We have a block plan here. And this is the existing plans and elevations. These are the proposed plans and elevations. Yeah. And another set of additional information that the applicant provided for context, just relating to previous cases on this particular site. This is an aerial view of the site. And this is the site looking at the rear. This is the side. And again, another view of the side and rear. Part of the front and side, and this is the front. Chair, the main issues on this proposal is the combined impact of the dormers and the proposed further extensions for this dwelling house. All added together leads to an extension that has an excessive depth and is clearly visible within the public realm. It would appear, Chair, members, as a large and incongruous and bulky addition to the original house, especially when viewed in context with the other properties in the local area. And the recommendation, Chair, is that the application be refused. There is an addendum item. James, is it?
Yeah, sorry, I was just going to clarify that the first floor extension is a 5 metre depth, so that's the key. So the extension going to the rear, it's 5 metres in depth, width of 9.5 metres, and just under 50 square metre footprint. So it is a large extension. In addition, being added to a property that already has 2 dormers either side of it.
Thank you. We will move to the petition. Ladies and gentlemen, I just want you to know that all of our members read all of the papers beforehand, and there is quite an extensive planning history in there, and that's why a couple of slides were put in there, because they relate to previous applications that have been refused or been subject to appeal, and if there was needed to be clarification about what was said or discussed back then, because they are relevant. We have to be mindful of decisions taken in the past. They were there, but they didn't actually form part of the application themselves, okay? But it's there for context. Okay, now we're getting into the petition part, and I understand, Mr. Hocking, you're present and you wish to address the committee. Is that correct, sir? Of course you may. If you'd like to come forward and make yourself comfortable at the table, and before you, you will see a microphone, and at the front of the base there's a large button. When you press on and off, that is a toggle on and off the microphone. The red indicates that it's live, and it's important that we have the microphone on when we're talking, because that's the only way it's captured with the video. Okay. Now you have 5 minutes to address the committee, and they may or may not ask questions of clarification at the end.
If I may refer to notes rather than...
Of course you can.
Verbatim.
Absolutely.
If I'd have known about the TV thing, I would have made my better makeup. But
I go through that routine every time, don't worry. So at your own convenience, you'll start, and we'll start the timing. As I say, it's 4 minutes with green, 1 with the amber, and I'll draw you to a close on the list. Thank you.
I've been asked to speak on behalf of the petitioners, who are residents of Harrowview and the adjacent properties, in objecting very strongly to any more enlargement of number 48. The useful slides will show the very thing about which I speak. The excellent report you've already seen and had, prepared by the inspecting officer, points out once again the present oversized mass and bulk of this development, and this repeats the report of the previous objections over 3 years ago. This is of particular relevance to the adjacent neighbour at number 50 Pole Hill Road, who would be even more overshadowed should this plan of more upward and backward development proceed. Each time these applications are made, there's a view is for more upward habitable space, which in effect means more rooms, and that means more dormers and more overlooking of adjacent properties. This will certainly have the effect of what we now think to be the case for multi-occupancy, rather than, as was and was ever hoped for, a family bungalow, which it isn't anymore. This is causing likely more traffic and parking in Harrowview, which could cause service and emergency vehicles. This first-class report also points out the effect of the character and street scene of this particular development. The building as it sits on the corner of Harrowview, the approach and appearance has been spoilt by the removal of well-kept hedges and mature trees and replaced by a cheap larch bush fence. The Harrowview pavement has been cracked and overgrown due to no small part by the large delivery vehicles over time delivering to number 48 and mounting the pavement. Now, the evidence for these points has been submitted to the Planning Department sometime before, several years before, and if needs be, is on file, and we have them still, photographs of those developments. The effect of this is a general cheapening of Harrowview to the point that on many weekend occasions, evenings after dark, we are visited by cars parking for takeaway suppers, drinks parties, drug taking and activities best kept indoors. The police have been advised of this happening. This first-class report lists many planning applications for number 48 and as always for enlargement upwards and backwards, i.e. more rooms. Therefore, the petitioners fervently wish that this latest application be refused and the same treatment be given to any likely appeal. We wish the developer to clear up, sell up, and if necessary, go forth and multiply. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Colleagues, are there any questions of the petitioner? Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. I invite you to turn off the microphone and return to your seat. Thank you. Mr. Hussain, Mr. Hussain present? Not wish to speak. That makes it quick and easy. Okay. Before I open it up to general discussion amongst committee members, I'd just like to make a couple of comments about things that we can consider and can't consider as a planning committee. And there's plenty of law around it in case law. Hence why I have a legal officer here to advise me, keep this on the straight and narrow. And then they are material planning considerations. That's what they're called, and they're defined, and they're the things that we can consider. And some of it we can't. So things like antisocial behaviour that you believe might be associated with a property is outside of our consideration. Okay, we can't deal with that. Will you talk about, you suspect it becoming a house of multiple occupancy? That is something we wrestle with all the time. But unfortunately, we cannot deal on what we think might happen. We have to deal with the application before us. Okay, and there are other controls that we can bring in if our worst suspicions occur. But at the moment, we deal with what is before us and not what we suspect might happen. And that's the limitations I needed to put on. And I open this up to discussion or comment by colleagues. Anybody? Councillor Stead, then Councillor Yarrow.
Thank you, Chairman. Looking at the agenda item and all the previous attempts at trying to alter this house, and reading on the front page about reason of its size, scale, bulk, cited, missing, when viewed, there's a whole lot of things there. But in my view, I will not be supporting this application, and I will go with the officer's recommendation.
Are you moving that formally?
Yes, I am. Chair.
Thank you very much. Councillor Yarrow.
Thank you, Chairman. Well, I agree entirely with what Councillor Stead has said. In fact, he's taken my thunder as well. I would like to second that as a motion that we go with the officer's recommendations. I don't think there's any need for any further discussion.
Thank you very much. Just clarify, anybody have any points of discussion or clarification? No? So let's take a vote on that. We're going with the officer's recommendation. Show of hands, please. That's unanimous. The application is refused. Okay? We now turn to number 7, please. Land forming part of number 7, Brookside.
Thank you, Chair. Members, this is an application proposal for a 2-storey, 2-bed, attached dwelling with associated parking and amenity space and extensions to vehicle crossover to the front of the proposal. I'd like to take members and Chair through the slides. We have the location plan showing the application site. This is the constraints plan, showing the site in relation to the greenbelt. There are no other constraints around the site. It's just the greenbelt. Another location plan. We have an existing floor plan, proposed floor plan showing also a roof plan, and you can see there also the front parking provisions. These are the elevations, the front and side. Aerial view of the site, and this is a photo of the application site itself. Another view just showing what's around, street scene, the site again, Chair, the main issue, the key issues here is that the proposal is a subservient addition to the existing dwelling. If you like, it reads almost like a two-story side addition, even though it's for a two-bed dwelling house. Again, the key issue is that it has no adverse impact on the site and surrounding, and that it makes adequate provisions for parking. And on that note, Chair, I'd like to draw your attention to item 7 of your addendum sheet. As we're on item 7, we've added another condition that ensures that the provision of 3 parking spaces at the front of the dwelling shall be retained and used as communal parking area for occupants of the dwelling. The proposal from Officer's Chair is that the application be approved. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Dinesh Khanna, present. Petitioner against? No. The applicant, Mrs. Kakadia, or the agent, Mr. Gupta? No. Thank you very much. That makes it simple. Could I just ask very quickly, do you have a photograph of the extension of number 5? It mentions in the report that the adjoining semi-detached property at number 5 is similarly extended. Okay. So
that's it, Chair.
Okay. So in terms of unbalancing the block, we have that on the one side, and they're looking in many ways to replicate it on the other side. On the other side. That's right. Thank you. That helped me. Thank you very, very much. Colleagues, open for discussion. Councillor Yarrow?
Thank you, Chairman. Well, as it happens to be my ward, I have no problems with this as an application, and consequently I think it's only fair to move it quickly to accept the officer's recommendations. I think the amendments in item 7 correct some of the anomalies with regarding to the parking and whose parking places are what, and I think that was necessary. So I formally move the officer's recommendations.
Thank you. Is it seconded, please? Thank you, Councillor Koshi. So I'll go with the officer's recommendation, delegated to the head of planning to amend the condition to ensure that the parking is allocated to both properties, suitably worded. Okay, is that agreed, everybody? Yes. Thank you. Agreed. Okay. You may wait for as long as you wish, ladies and gentlemen, but do not feel obliged to remain. Of course, you may just slide out at your convenience. Thank you very much. Getting close to mine. Thank you very much. Agenda item 8, please. Rear of 25 Botwell Lane.
Thank you, Chair. Members, this is an application. The proposal is for the retention of an unauthorised 3-storey building comprising, the description says, two bed and 1 studio self-contained flats. At present, though, there is a difference. It's 2 3-beds and 1 2-bed and 1 1-bed, which in the officer's opinion is substandard accommodation. But I'll come to that, members and Chair, once I give you the slide presentation. If we can go to that, we have the location plan. this is the constraints plan. As you can see, the blue indicates that it's in the primary shopping area. And these are existing and proposed elevations, existing floor plans, proposed floor plans. We have an aerial view of the site and photos that show you the rear. This is the rear with the additions. Side again showing you the rear. And this is what the applicant deems to be the garden. And there it is in full view. And these are supposedly the amenity areas to the proposed dwelling. We have a side photo that shows commercial bin storage, nothing, no provisions for residential. And a picture, effectively, of the approach to the site, if you like, off the main road, off the parade. And it's effectively a car park that is more suited for the commercial premises surrounding the site. And another view of that. And here we have some indication, pictorial indications of the internal layouts of the proposed retentions for these unauthorized developments. It's a bedroom, kitchen, diner, and another sort of living area, bedroom. If I can pause there, Chair, and say that the key issues here for you to consider effectively is that this development, in officer's opinion, is a contrived development, unauthorized, lacks amenity, inadequate parking and cycle storage, as well as refuse provision. And the recommendation, Chair, is that this proposal be refused.
Thank you very much, Ed. It's unusual that we get a report with 5 objections, reason for refusal put on, and that we then extend to 7 because we found that 2 were missing off. So we have 7 refusal reasons. Most acute to me is the fact that this is substandard accommodation in terms of both size and amenity. Okay, anybody help me take this forward, please? Councillor Stead.
Thank you, Chairman. Yeah, it's all in the agenda, basically, as far as I'm concerned. The amount of attempts they've tried to do things, and now they have done something, and it's substandard to lots of items or policies. So I've got no problem with refusing this and going with the officer's recommendations.
Just 1 second. Just going to take a break for a little bit of legal advice. 1 sec. But I'm with you on that. And we're not taking legal advice over you, Councillor Stead. Yes.
Obviously, Edward was highlighting there is a discrepancy, so I'm just clarifying how we deal with the discrepancy. So the position is there's a set of plans. They lead to 5 refusal reasons in the report, 2 in the addendum, 7, and they are all sound refusal reasons because it's completely unacceptable proposal. One problem we've got is the applicant's description of development doesn't quite match the plans and what is there. So I think what we need to do is, before we issue a decision, you need to give me delegated authority to make sure the right description of development's in place. And as long as you're happy delegating that to me, you can proceed tonight to refuse this application as set out in the report and the addendum sheet. But what Ed was effectively alluding to is that the description's not quite right at the moment, and we need to correct that before we proceed with a decision on this.
Well done. Eagle eyed over there. Thank you very much for picking that up, because we've all read the papers and We had missed it, so well done to you, thank you. So the suggestion is that we delegate to the head of planning the clarification of or resolution of the description. But notwithstanding that, the fundamentals haven't changed. And on that basis, are you still prepared to propose?
I still propose refusing it, Chairman.
Thank you very much. Councillor Yarrow.
And I will second that proposal.
And show of hands, please. That's everybody. Thank you very much. Cheers. Okay. Councillor Mills, are you here to speak on just listen to that one? 13. And let's do you a favour then. No, you don't mind? I was thinking of doing that, but it'll shake up the presentation and we'll muck around. So let's ramp on quickly, and they should be quite quick. Number 9, please.
Thank you, Chair. Members, I'd like to take both item agenda 9 and 10 together. And so if I could crave your indulgence and go through each of them and then end at the end of presentation of item 10. Thank you.
Nine is standalone.
Okay.
But it's 10, 11 and 12.
Okay.
All relate to the...
Okay. My apologies, Chair.
I confused you earlier.
So I'll take 9 separately and then we'll do 10 and 11 together. Thank you. Item 9, Members and Chair, is for Brunel University, and it's the construction of 3 new pedestrian footpaths, widening one access road, reconstruction and widening of another access road with increased splays, and relaying of existing IT ducts and cables, and relocation of a cycle stall. And if I can take you through the presentation of the slides, we have a location plan, and this shows you the constraints plan, and as you can see, the site has a number of listed structures adjacent to it. We have another location plan of the site, a block plan, and this is an existing buried services. So as there is work to do with relocation of relaying of existing IT cables, the buried services plan, if you like, shows you the different bits that the applicant will have to consider in undertaking this development. So the area is split up into 3 areas. You've got Area A, and this is Area B, and you have Area C, all again showing you the respective buried services that exist on the site. And if I can just whiz through, members, and we go to the existing layout for A. The existing layout for B, and the existing layout for Site C. And the following slides effectively are showing you the contractor's hoarding proposal, if you like, for when they undertake the development. So you've got the site area for A, the hoarding area for B, and the hoarding area for C. These are the proposed layouts for A, proposed layout for B, and the proposed layout for C. And if I can just take you through some pictures, members and chair. That's an aerial view of the site. And this is the existing landscaping and bench seating area. Looking towards the Lancaster Hall another view. And this is another view again. Chair, the officer's recommendation is that the application proposal from the university be approved. The key issues, Chair, is that the proposal leads to an enhancement of the arrangements for the site's parking and pedestrian flow and is an improvement on the current existing arrangements. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Colleagues, any issues with this? Not at all? Councillor Ahmed-Bolana.
I don't have an issue on this application, so I'm happy to move with the officer's recommendation unless somebody else has any issue on this.
Thank you very much. Anybody else? Anybody second? Councillor Moss?
Yeah, I
Clarify.
totally support the officer's recommendations, and it all accords to policy PR22, which encourages the function of the university. So we entirely support.
Excellent, and it's good to see the university investing all the time. And we have a very slight addendum change to the condition, and that's just flagging or bringing to the fore the need for a wider strategy around drainage. That was within the addendum. It changes nothing in the substantive position, and so on the having been proposed and formally seconded, can I have a show of hands on agreement of that, subject to the slight addendum change? Thank you. That's everybody. We move now to 10, 11, 12. These are linked. It's effectively one change, but planning a listed building and then advertising consent. So they'll be voted on separately, but one presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. The first item, item 10 on the agenda, is effectively a proposal for the change of use of the office administration area to a coffee shop, and it involves removing plasterboard internally, reconfiguring the current office, and some external glazed walling and replacement with glazed double doors and repositioning of internal glazing. There is some formation of single double glazed and a rear lobby space and internally fixed illuminated signage. So the key issues here, Chair, are that the proposal effectively leads to no increase in the developed area of the campus and has no adverse impact on the openness of the greenbelt. As you saw through the constraints map, the site is within the greenbelt. So the officer's recommendation is that the application be approved. That's for item 10, members and chair. If I could take you to item 11. If I could, before I do that, just to note that, as you probably saw on your constraints map that I showed you, the structure in question is a listed grade 2 structure. So, yeah. If I go back to the constraints map, members... Oh, sorry. It's going back. No, go back to the constraints map.
Should we double team, Chairman, and let Edward go through the presentations and I'll flick through the slides in parallel?
Certainly. For me, we just need a flavour of what it will look like.
Yeah.
We're not changing any of the external appearance. It's internal, and then we just need reassurance that it's not going to be to the detriment of the listed building, and we will get some reassurance on that with the images, I'm sure.
So, Chair, there is no increase in the developed area of the campus, no adverse impact on the openness of the greenbelt, and when we come back to the issue of the listed structure, again, the officer's view is that everything that's been done is acceptable. So, item 11 is again dealing with the whole question of the change of the administrative room to a coffee shop. And the internally fixed illuminated signage, which James is taking you through. So that's what
That's the artist's
impression. Yeah, and that's another impression of what it would look like. It's the same.
And the advertising that we are agreeing, can you just point out which signage?
It will effectively say the coffee room, as you can see there below.
Okay.
So it's not in competition with Costa or anybody else.
No. But we're agreeing a sign that's internally hung?
Yes, it's internally illuminated.
Yeah, okay. And in terms of alterations to the building, are any of the features for which the building is listed, are they being in any way changed?
No, they're not yet.
Thank you very much. Okay.
So the officer's recommendation for both these two items is that it be approved. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, members.
Okay, so colleagues, we have the university wishing to move forward, improve its facilities. You see how they're changing office into facilities for students. Visually appears appealing. It's a matter for consideration, of course. The issue here is, do we agree with, firstly, the development? Do we agree to the listing, change of the listed building? And then do we agree to the signs? 3 separate issues for your discussion and consideration, please. Oh, one more comment, please.
Just said, obviously within Borough now, the listed buildings are kind of much more modern listed buildings than you'd often see elsewhere that are listed buildings, and this is a kind of large kind of concrete type construction building that has glazed ground floor sections. Effectively all they're doing is updating the glazing. They're not having a major impact on the reason this is a listed building, which relates to its concrete construction and the timing of that and how that was undertaken.
Okay. Assistants here, colleagues. Councillor Yarrow.
Yeah, are we taking? I know you want to take the vote on 3 separate ones. Can we move them en bloc and take a vote separately on each one, or do we have to do it?
No, I will need somebody to formally propose and second.
Okay, well,
each, but you can say I propose and second each one, and that will be fine for me. But we need to be clear on which ones we are proposing and seconding.
Well, I will formally approve agenda item 10.
And seconded by Councillor Kashid. Show of hands, please. Is everybody? Item 11. Again, Councillor Yarrow.
Yes, I'll formally approve agenda item 11.
Again, Councillor Kashid. Thank you very much. Show of hands, please. And 12, the advertising. Same again.
I'll formally approve agenda item 12.
Thank you very much. Show of hands. That's everybody. Cheers. We're now at 13, Prince of Wales. You'll be pleased that 15 has been withdrawn. So we're only here for 13 for you, Councillor Mills. I'll wait until Councillor Wallana has left the room, and then we'll crack off. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. I'll just bear with me while I whiz through to, that's it, item 13 there for you. I would like to, Chair, draw your attention to the addenda item on page 2 before we go to page 2 of your addendum. We had additional objections received.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair. The current application seeks a retrospective planning permission for effectively the retention of a timber-framed garden structure with a retractable canopy. The garden structure is actually not timber frame, and I think the head of planning, through yourself, Chair, would have to probably change the description, because it's actually, as I understand, a steel frame structure now. So the description given to us by the applicant is a little misleading. So if I can take you, members and chair, through the slides, we've got the location plan. We've then got the constraints plan, which shows you a number of heritage assets, listed buildings, which includes also the public house, the Prince of Wales. We've got a site plan, and this is a proposed floor plan, proposed roof plan. The proposed roof plan is a little misleading because the roof actually is retractable, and it has a vertical motion that goes up to 0.5 meter. This is a proposed front elevation, side elevation, side elevation. Sorry, Jack. Shall I pause for a bit?
No, keep going.
This is an aerial view of the site. This is part of the structure which is claimed to be timber frame, but it's actually steel framed. I mean, the timber is almost like a cladding. A side view. This is an internal view of the site. You've got the parasols as well, enclosing it further. And you get a better view of the roof. As you can see, that flat roof actually can go up to 0.5 meter. Another view of the site. But if I can go back. Chair, the recommendation of officers is that the application be refused, and the key issues are that the proposal has a detrimental impact, its visual impact, and that it's something that officers cannot support, especially given that it's set in a conservation area.
Okay, thank you. I think for the purpose of absolute transparency and clarity, we need to comment that an installation of a timber shelter was granted permission in 2016, and this is in officers. Am I right in believing that, in officers' opinion, this is substantially different to that?
Chair, it is substantially different. I think the picture that we're looking at now can show that. The timber structure could not, accommodate, if you like, the layout and the arrangement that is currently there, and there are steel frames within. And the weighting, yeah, the dead load and the live load, yeah.
Okay, colleagues, that was helpful to me. So a previously approved timber shelter in the rear would provide a substantially different function. This one does, and that is the difference here. Okay. Comments, discussion here. Councillor Chandal.
Thank you, Chairman. Well, they've asked to build something else, and they built something else. They're hoping to get away with it, by the looks of it. It's been noticed. The officers made a recommendation of refusal, and I've got no reason to overturn that in any sense or form, and I'll go with the officers' recommendation.
Thank you very much. Any other discussion? Councillor Money?
Yeah.
Seconded? Yeah, right. Before we take the vote, it will just be subject to a very tiny amendment of the actual description of the property, and it will say...
Yeah, I don't think in this case I think I can't change it here and now to retention of a metal structure with timber cladding with a retractable canopy.
Yep. Okay, done. Thank you very much. Okay, so formally proposed and seconded. Show of hands, please, on that. That is everybody present. Thank you. we just ask Councillor Wallana to return, and we will crack on with Hillingdon Hospital, part of Heath Road. Let's say 15's gone. Thank you. Yeah, Ed, very brief on this one. We just need to wait for Anisha to come back because she'll be taking notes, but we can be very brief on this.
Thank you, Chair, and very brief, as you say. This is a proposal for effectively freestanding support frame to accommodate a control cabinet, associated cabling for telecom installations, steel poles. I can take you through the site, the Hillingdon Hospital, showing you the constraints. Again, the site, plus a pictorial indication at the bottom of this slide, and the proposed apparatus on the site. That's it. In elevational form, you can see it there. And an aerial view. The officer recommendation is that this proposal be approved, and the key issues here, Chair, is that there are no detrimental impact on amenity or the surrounding area, and the scale and size and setting is similar to other apparatus that we've approved nearby.
Thank you very much. Colleagues. Councillor Chandal.
Go with officer's recommendation.
Thank you very much. Seconded by Councillor Yarrow. Show of hands, please. Everybody, thank you. 15 has been withdrawn. 16 is Packet Boat Marina.
Thank you, Chair. Bear with me while I flick through the withdrawn item and get to 16. There we are. And the proposal, members, is for the construction of a new fixed pontoon to provide 7 leisure moorings with associated engineering and landscape works. And here we have a location plan showing you the site and some of the existing moorings, a constraints plan. As you can see, the site is within the green belt. Site location plan again, existing site, proposed new moorings. And if I whiz through and take you through to, this is a cross-section effectively, a typical cross-section of the river bank. An aerial view of the site and the existing arrangements of boats moored. The key issue, Chair, is that the construction of this new fixed pontoon to provide 7 leisure moorings will be no different in terms of context from what's already there. Thank you, Chair. And the officer's recommendation is that the application be approved. Sorry, Chair, James has kindly reminded me that there is an addendum item on this particular one. On 3rd page of your addendum sheet, and it's an amendment to conditions and additional informatives as well, and points that have been raised by an objector. Is that right?
Yep. Okay. Okay, colleagues, relatively straightforward application. This is further expansion of a valued asset. The concerns that previously existed around the impact and the ecology of the area have been addressed. There is a slight amendment that changes condition 5 to D in a very minor way, deleting furniture and adding signage in. Anybody help us take this forward? Councillor Kashid. Thank you very much, Councillor Kashid. Seconded by Councillor Money. Show of hands, please, on that one. Everybody. Thank you. We now break while we just get the link dropped. We're moving into part 2.